You just got rejected from your dream company. When is the best time to reapply, and how should you go about it? This is a question that comes up time and time again in our YouTube lives every Wednesday at 10 a.m. My name is Jeff H. Sipe. I'm the founder and coach at practiceinterviews.com. And what we want to uncover in this specific video is in the reapplication process, when does it make sense to actually reapply? And when does it make sense to utilize your point of contact as a way to get back into the organization? Item one, we're going to focus in on early stage rejection. Any application where you get no response or an application where you get a response and you get a rejection, we're essentially in the same spot that we started. And so I would recommend waiting about 3 months. If you just want to follow this application process, wait 3 months, add on any additional skills in those 3 months, certifications, anything you can do that you could actually add into your resume to bolster your resume and make you stand out more. Now, of course, applying to jobs is actually the worst way to get a job. So I want you to follow a strong networking strategy to help you have success in opening doors at these companies, especially if you're getting no response at all. It's a great opportunity for you to switch it up. I'll pin a video up above that will walk you through those exact steps. And just remember, the give first model works. If we always reach out to people and ask them for something, they are not going to help us. Item two, any stage of the process, rejection. This is where we're going to spend the majority of our time, and there's going to be a number of steps to follow and some templates in here. If you get rejected at the recruiter screen, phone or video interview, on-site interview, hiring committee, team match stage, any end stage of the process, we are going to try to take the following steps with our recruiter or our point of contact. And let's assume for this first part that it's a verbal conversation. Step one, we have to ask for feedback. And lots of times at these big companies, they specifically do not provide feedback because it's a legality item. They cannot provide you with feedback. But that does not mean that we should not ask and that we should not push a little bit. And in pushing, we can do that in a really friendly and kind way. If they say, I can't provide any feedback, well, was I missing any minimum qualifications? Because legally they are allowed to tell you if you're missing a minimum qualification. So that's one. Secondarily, could you just tell me if there were any types of questions that I didn't do well with, behavioral or open-ended, anything I could have changed from a body language perspective, anything that I could be working on or adding to my profile that would help me have greater success in the future? Again, the likelihood that they share anything, not very high, but press in a really kind way. Sometimes you'll get at least one data point, one nugget. Step two, timing. Now, some organizations have a formalized follow-up policy or process for reapplying, especially when it's the same position. But we just want to understand, how soon can I reapply to that same position, and how soon can I reapply to like roles or different roles? Again, some companies have a policy, some do not. Step three is follow-up. And in the follow-up, we are going to ask our point of contact 3 very specific and clear questions. First, how often can I reach out to you regarding jobs, specifically links for positions that I'm interested online? Once a month, once every 3 months, once every 6 months. By setting that amount of time, we're just making it easier for them to give us an answer for when we can reach back out to them and increasing the likelihood and removing that ambiguity where we do not get an answer. The second item in this step is, okay, when I do provide you with positions that I'm interested in every 3 months, for example, how many positions? Is there a limit? Do you want me to only share 1, 3, up to 5, more? I just want to get an idea. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many positions. This is critical. So many times, candidates, I would say, you can follow up to me with positions and they'd send me 20. Are they likely a fit for those 20? No. How long would it take for me to find the individual recruiter working on each of those roles, put together the email and send it out? It's just way too much work, so I wouldn't be able to do it at all. So even if they say 5, think maybe 1 to 2, that's a really, really good number. The last question you're going to ask in this follow-up, and it's a ridiculous question, but it's worth asking. If you were to move positions, move teams, or leave the organization, can you please let me know and align me with a new point of contact? I know that's a ridiculous question, but this has happened to me before, and I just want to make sure that I can stay in touch with somebody at the organization. Now, the likelihood that they reach out to some random candidate when they're making a move is very slim. So the way we back that up is we say, I know that's a big ask. What I did do right before we hopped on this call was I sent you a LinkedIn request just so we could stay in touch in case there is any moves or I want to get connected with you in another way. It sounds like we've just asked them a ton and this would take a ton of time, but really it's just 5 pretty simplistic questions, and this will usually only take about 3 to 5 minutes. So let's pivot. We know, especially after the recruiter screen, phone or first video interview, the likelihood of getting a phone call is going to go down. So we need to have a strategy if we don't get that phone call. Now, the first strategy is the second you get that email, you instantly email them back and respond, I would love 3 minutes of your time and I'm available at the same time over the next 2 weeks to have that 3-minute phone call. You just really, really want to push for it. But if they don't respond to you, we are going to go ahead and send them this specific email template, and I'm going to screen share now. So in this initial email template, basically we're just going to thank them and ask the same questions that we just covered. So I appreciate the opportunity to interview with your organization. I'm still interested in working for Google in the future, and I have 5 quick follow-up questions. So the specific feedback question, how long do I need to wait before reapplying? How often can I reach out? When I find opportunities, how many can I send? And then obviously the ridiculous question of, if you move, can you share a new POC with me? And then you're just thanking them again. You are letting them know that you just sent them a LinkedIn request and that you look forward to hearing back from them. We know that sometimes you will get no response to that first email or that second email that I just outlined. If there is a feedback form that comes through to you, you need to put that in the comments. I made it all the way to the on-site stage, and after 2 months, the recruiter or point of contact didn't even have the respect to have a 3-minute phone call for me. You have to pay it forward for future candidates. You need to provide that feedback. If you make it to the later stages and they're not willing to call you, it's just honestly unacceptable. Item 3, follow-up email template. So after your point of contact shares how often you can follow up, you're immediately going to mark 2 dates. You're going to mark the specific date to follow up with them, and then you're going to mark a date in your calendar that's 1 week earlier. And the reason why is, yeah, we want to keep a pulse on the jobs as that time goes through, but 1 week ahead of time, we can really look for more active job links. And before you send this email, and I'm about to screen share, make sure that those job links are active right before sending the email, because if they're not active, it's just going to be a huge downtick in your success. Okay, it's been a few months, and now we're going to follow up. So how are you? It's been exactly 3 months since we spoke. I've identified a couple of opportunities that I think are a strong match. Let me know if I'm a fit, and if you could share them with the appropriate person. That appropriate person might be them. So position 1, we're literally going to use this button right here, the insert link button, just to make sure that we are actually connecting the right job description, and we're going to title it, use that insert link always. Then we're going to list a few reasons why we're a fit, and we're going to do that a couple times. Remember, focus on that less is more model. Then we are going to go down and we are specifically going to tell them the days and times we're available. The more consistency, the better. That is going to be a critical item. Make it easy on them. Then we're going to share our email. I know you're sending an email. It doesn't matter. We're going to share our phone and LinkedIn, which I know you could get from the resume. We are trying to simplify as much as possible. Lastly, I've created 2 unique resumes for the role. Both are attached to this email. Please let me know if you have any questions. As I mentioned at the end of that screen share about creating individual resumes per role, I'm going to pin a resume video up above. The number 1 item to remember is we do want unique resumes for every role, but I only want you to spend about 3 to 5 minutes. And 3 to 5 minutes on each of those resumes, it's just changing out some of the bullets in your summary section. That's all you're going to need to do. You're not going to want to change anything else. And if you set it up appropriately, 3 to 5 minutes for any new position. Item number 4, pay it forward. You have a huge opportunity when you have a point of contact that's willing to engage with you for setting yourself up for even more success. The number one way is to put candidates in front of them that are also a likely fit for the role. Maybe you work with a colleague currently who's a great fit. Maybe you have a friend who's a great fit. You want to be sharing their information with this recruiter because that's going to uptick the likelihood of them wanting to reach out to you or help you in the future. That email is going to look very similar to the last screen share that we had, but let me go ahead and share my screen again just to show you what that looks like. This is going to look very similar to the one that we sent on behalf of ourselves. But in this one, we're just going to do a quick introduction, mention the name of the person, our relationship with them, and kind of bolster them up. Say, hey, I think they'd be a great fit. We're definitely going to CC them on this email. And then we're going to mention that, hey, I'm going to follow up with you in a couple months. So we're making sure that they're continuing to keep us in mind as well. Then we're going to follow these same rules regarding the position, reasons why our current colleague or friend is a fit. We're going to give their availability. We're going to provide their contact information and attach their resume. So it's going to look very similar to the one that we do on our own behalf. It's just going to look just a little bit different. So this is one step. The second step, you're not going to utilize quite as much, but it's sharing great articles, videos, anything that's trending in the market in their space that might be interesting for them. And we're going to send that ideally via LinkedIn, not send it into their emails and inundate them with stuff that maybe is not super important. But it's another way to just stay in contact with them and have them keeping the pulse on us and just remembering us in general. Item 5, just 2 other items to consider. And I'm going to pin an early video that I did in December of 2018 up there to talk a little bit more about rejection in general. But step 1, strike while the iron is hot. If you've been prepping and practicing, don't get too down on yourself. Keep going. Even if you want to apply for maybe a non-dream company, maybe Google is your dream, but you'd also consider Facebook. Just keep going. It's so important that you're pushing the envelope at this point just to keep that momentum up. And then getting back to the emotions, step 2, self-reflection. We are going to be emotional about rejection and how quickly we can reapply. But sit with those emotions and then move on really quickly and think about what you could have learned, what you could have done better. Could you have done better on behavioral examples, open-ended questions? Could you have prepped more? Did you actually practice with another person? Just a great time to self-reflect. Just to sum up, as a former recruiter, when candidates worked with me in a very strong and methodical way, I was much more likely to help them. I know that this strategy works because I've been on the other side. If you like my content, please like. If you have any comments, please comment below. And if you like my overall content, please subscribe. Thank you so much.